The best Minecraft mod of 2023 just dropped, and its name is Alex's Caves. The newest mod from the talented modder behind Alex's mobs, Ice and Fire, and Rats. This mod adds 5 brand new, fully immersive cave biomes to your game, with new blocks, mobs, mechanics, and more. To help find these rare biomes, you can obtain a cave map, which is a bit of a complicated process. First, you'll want to find an underground cabin, a decently common structure in the overworld underground. If you can't find one, head to your nearest abandoned mineshaft to find a map. This cabin contains a barrel with cave tablets and sometimes a cave compendium, as well as a spelunkery table where you can place ancient tablets and play a translation minigame to translate them into cave codexes. You will be presented with a bunch of encrypted text and need to decipher the puzzle to find a random word. The Cave Compendium is a book with lots of information about cave biomes. These cave codexes can be used to fill out the Cave Compendium by right-clicking, but can also be crafted into old-timey maps to specific biomes. These maps are much more responsive than vanilla ones and will help you track down the biomes you're looking for. Each cave is its own unique habitat with loads of content, so let's jump straight into it with the Magnetic Caves. These are dim, stony caves filled with large scarlet and azure neodymium spikes jutting out from the ground, walls, and ceiling. Scarlet neodymium attracts all metallic objects such as iron and netherite, while azure repels them. If you walk up to Scarlet Neodymium wearing iron boots, you will stick to the surface and change your gravity. Galena, the stone making up this biome, can be packed and smelted to obtain an iron nugget. The neodymium in this biome can be made into neodymium ingots, allowing you to create magnetic levitation rails that lift carts into the air and make them faster than usual. You can use Scarlet Neodymium ingots to create seeking arrows that will curve towards any nearby entity they fly past. You can craft Scarlet and Azure magnets that can move up to 27 adjacent blocks at a time, as long as they're metallic or connected via slime. Their range can be increased with their respective neodymium ingots and decreased with the opposite. Of course, there are plenty of new mobs for you to find in the biome, the first of which is the Boundroid, a strange mob that can be seen scuttling on the ceiling with its head dragging below it on a chain. However, take care to not stand directly underneath it, as it will slam its springy head into the ground to attack you. If you hit the blue part of its body while it's on the ceiling, it will be knocked onto the ground, letting you get some melee hits in. Next is the Ferrouslime, relatives of regular slimes that have traded their green jelly for a ferromagnetic substance only found in these caves. They can fly, although only in straight lines, and can actively merge with or split from other ferroslimes, making them capable of merging to truly huge sizes. They'll deal significant damage on contact, so keep your distance. At their smallest size, they can drop ferrous slime balls, used to make metal swarf, which can be melted into scrap metal with a variety of uses. It can be converted into a magnetic activator, which is basically a directional, movable redstone block. They can also be brewed into potions of magnetizing, allowing entities to be pushed or pulled by magnetic forces without needing to hold anything magnetic. The Teletor is a small flying mob that attacks you by controlling iron tools with beams of magnetic energy capable of dealing damage from quite a range. They can strafe in the air while attacking, making them surprisingly hard to take out. They can drop Scarlet or Azure Neodymium as well as a Teletor, which can be used to craft a very powerful tool known as a Galena Gauntlet. When held in the offhand with the magnetic tool in the main hand, it will launch the tool forwards up to 20 blocks and can damage any entity it hits in the way, or mine any block if the tool is the right type for the job. The Magnetron is an uncommon, powerful neutral mob that rolls around on its central heart. When attacked, they'll use magnetism to create a giant body for itself using nearby blocks. If a sawmill or anvil is nearby, they will be incorporated into the body as weapons, increasing the damage dealt. When defeated, the Magnetron will fall apart and its many blocks will disperse. The final mob for this cave is the Notor. Using its holographic eye, this tiny flying creature will scan and record you before broadcasting a hologram of you to nearby monsters, alerting them to your presence. They don't have a lot of health, so make sure to take them out as soon as you see them. Notor gizmos can be combined with a Teletor and Azure Neodymium ingot to make a holocoder, which can be bound to any entity. When placed in a hologram projector, a hologram of the bound entity will be displayed. If the holocoder is unbound, the user will be shown instead. If powered, this projection will rotate at a speed corresponding to the redstone signal's power. Sometimes you may find Tesla bulbs on top of Galena spires. Take care while approaching, as they'll occasionally zap their surroundings with lightning. Mining or hitting one in most ways can trigger a large explosion of destructive electricity. You can even craft them for yourself using a Teletor obtained from a Teletor. One of the most useful blocks you can craft from this biome is the Magnetic Quarry, a new system you can use to automate the excavation of a large area. Craft a Magnetic Quarry with the Heart of Iron, craft magnetic lights with Notor gizmos, place 4 magnetic lights behind the quarry, make a Magnetic Quarry Smasher using a heavyweight, place it within the bounds of the lights, and watch the machine eat away at the ground. Drops will go on top of the magnetic quarry block, and the quarry will smash until there are no more breakable blocks beneath it. Finally, the Heart of Iron can also be crafted into a Resistor Shield that can create a damaging magnetic pulse when you hold it. Shift right click to change the shield between attraction and repulsion. Next up are the Primordial Caves, huge open areas filled with lush grass, tall trees, and water. And the best part is you don't need night vision to see due to the glowing Abyssal rocks on the ceiling. Puin trees produce pine nuts which can be eaten, and the ancient jungle trees produce tree stars, a favorite food of many of the biome's inhabitants. Limestone makes up most of the stone here and can be crafted into stackable spears with low melee and range damage. It can be smelted into smooth limestone and painted with charcoal to create cave paintings. As you might expect, all of the mobs here you'll find are dinosaurs, the first of which is the Subterranodon. These large neutral reptiles can be found flying through the air in swarms or roosting on the giant columns throughout the area. They can be lured and bred with cod, producing eggs that will hatch after a while. They can also be tamed by feeding them Trilocaris tails. They can be made to follow, stay, or wander, and tame Subterranodons can be ridden. You can steer them with the mouse, ascend with space, descend with left control, and dismount with shift. These guys make for a great way to navigate the massive open spaces of these caves, although they can only fly upwards for a short period before needing to rest on the ground. They also have a custom texture if named Radon, a nod to the Godzilla franchise. The next mob is the Vallumraptor, a small, intelligent creature that spawns in groups. Attacking in tandem, these creatures will leap great distances at their prey, while others quickly slash and bite. Most Vallumraptor packs are led by an elder, denoted by their orange markings and larger stature. They are stronger than the rest and have decent armor protection, but if they fall in combat, the rest of the pack will disperse from battle. These guys are really smart and can open doors if they smell food inside. They can steal meat from chests, and if they take a dinosaur nugget, they'll relax and fall asleep. When sleeping, they can be fed serene salad to wake them up and tame them. Tamed Vallumraptors can be made to follow, stay, or wander, and they have a special ability in combat. If they lose a lot of health, they'll turn translucent and sneak away from combat to heal rapidly, only to rejoin the fight once healthy. Tamed Vallumraptors can be bred with a dinosaur nugget and will lay a clutch of eggs afterwards. Baby Vallumraptors that hatch nearby will imprint onto their parents' owners. They have a custom texture if named Allen. Grottoceratops are large, neutral herbivorous dinosaurs that find no greater joy than eating plants. They are the only source of fiddleheads, which appear after they pick up and eat a curly fern. If attacked, they'll defend themselves by using their large horn to fling attackers in the air, or by swinging their spiked tail at their target. They take 25% less damage from Vallumraptors and can be bred with a tree star and will lay a single egg afterwards. Even though water has life in this biome, you can find Trilocaris scuttling and swimming throughout the small ponds of this biome. These prehistoric arthropods are neutral and will bite if attacked. They can be captured in a bucket and are prey for many of the biome's other inhabitants. Next we have the king of the dinosaurs, the Tremorsaurus. This giant beast's footsteps can be felt from yards away, causing ripples in any nearby water surfaces. These fearsome apex predators will let out an ear-splitting roar, shaking your screen and scaring nearby creatures, before grabbing small prey in their huge mouths and shaking them viciously, dealing massive damage. If their prey is too large to pick up, they'll bite at it with their crushing jaws until victorious. Despite their hostile personality, they can be tamed via a difficult process. You must repeatedly strike it with a primitive club to stun the Tremorsaurus, then feed it serene salad right after to wake it up. After a few attempts of this, they'll be tamed and can be made to follow, stay, or wander. You can also ride these beasts, and when mounted they will attack anything you aim them at, and can occasionally activate a roar ability that will cause any nearby mobs to scatter. They can be bred with dinosaur chops, and when the egg hatches, the baby will imprint on the parent's owners. They will also have a custom texture if named Princess. Lastly, we have the Relicheirus, a massive neutral omnivorous dinosaur uncommonly found browsing Pewin trees. These feathery dinos are very strong and can deal big damage with their dagger-like claws. They'll nibble on any tree leaves they can reach and dive into pools to snack on a tasty Trilocaris. However, they prefer stew, and if you give them some primordial soup, they'll enter a tree-toppling frenzy, knocking over the tallest of trees with one headbutt. They can be bred with a tree star and can produce a single large egg afterwards. The Amber Monolith is a structure that can be found rarely throughout the Primordial Caves and can also be crafted with amber curiosities, which occasionally drop from breaking amber. Over the course of a few days, these monoliths will repopulate the nearby area with animals that would have spawned naturally in the area. Serene Salad can remove the stunned effect when consumed and is used to tame some dinosaurs. The Seething Stew inflicts the Rage effect, boosting damage depending on how little health is left. If given to other creatures, it can cause them to attack other nearby entities. The Primordial Soup will give you haste if consumed and will cause Relicheirus to enter a tree headbutting frenzy. The Cooked Dino Chop can be crafted directly into 12 Dino Nuggets. The Heavy Bone can be used with Psychads to craft the Primitive Club, a slow melee weapon which can inflict the stunned effect for up to 15 seconds, preventing the afflicted from moving or attacking. The Heavy Bone can also be used with Tough Hide to craft a Primordial Armor set, which increases the health and saturation provided by consuming raw meat for each piece worn. Finally, a nice Easter egg, dinosaurs will dance at jukeboxes and have retro texture variants, as shown on screen now. You can change a dinosaur's texture to the retro version by giving it an amber curiosity. The next cave biome is the Toxic Caves, which are massive underground wastelands filled with toxic green gas. Most of the terrain consists of rad rock, an irradiated version of stone, and you can also occasionally find uranium ore. This uranium can be turned into nuggets or blocks, as well as uranium light rods, a new light source. Among the open caverns are large acid pits, a dangerous liquid that can corrode your armor before corroding you. Acid can also create rusty versions of scrap metal blocks when it flows over them. Geothermal vents can be seen rising from these acidic pits, bubbling and spewing out toxic gas. The gas bubbling out of these vents can also be bottled into radon gas, used to create glowing radon lamps in any color. You can also find the occasional sulfur stack, which grow in size if a block of acidic rad rock drips onto it. These sulfur clusters can be broken to obtain sulfur dust, used to create food that heals you even when irradiated. Scattered throughout the biome, numerous ruins of past industrial progress can be found, often containing loot, but also potentially exposing an adventurer to radiation if they pick up any radioactive items. Cinder bricks can be attained here and crafted from concrete blocks. They can be made into a variety of decorative industrial blocks, or thrown to break any weak block. Irradiated is a nasty effect that prevents all natural healing when active, and higher levels will constantly inflict damage, spelling a death sentence if not dealt with rapidly. The first monster you might encounter in these caves is the dreadful Nucleeper. This cyborg creature takes a while to power up, denoted by the closing helmet, spinning green beams, and loud siren, but you definitely want to make full use of that time to take it out, as if you don't, it will detonate into a massive nuclear explosion. The visuals on this explosion are amazing, with a mushroom cloud that rises and clears to reveal a fiery crater, and will leave you irradiated if you somehow survive the blast. Leaping out of the acid pits is the Radgill, a passive hideous fish with 3 eyes that has been mutated by this dangerous biome. They can be captured in a bucket of acid and can survive in water. Speaking of mutations, the Braniac is a horrifically mutated amalgamation of various undead creatures. These are fast, strong, aggressive, and in possession of a prehensile tongue that can whip targets from a distance. They are normally found carrying a waste drum on their back that they can either drink from to rapidly heal or throw to spread acid near their targets. They can also pick up nearby barrels if they've already thrown theirs. When in close proximity, they'll smash at the target with their arms and use their jaw hand to snap at them. All Braniac attacks have a chance to irradiate the target. The Gammaroach is a gigantic radioactive cockroach infesting the Toxic Caves. These guys are initially neutral but will attack anything with the irradiated effect. When injured, they'll release a cloud of radioactive gas as a defense that attracts other roaches to their aid. Although weak individually, they can stab other monsters with their spines and bring them into the fight to defeat you. The final mob in this biome is the Raycat. This passive undead feline is only animated with pure radiation, but can be tamed with Radgills. It can absorb and remove radiation from you and other mobs, making it quite useful to keep around as a pet. When tamed, they can be made to follow, stay, or wander. They will not fight alongside you, but will keep Nucleepers at a distance and occasionally absorb the irradiated effects from their owner. You can combine the various resources of the caves into a polymer plate, a highly resistant material that can be assembled into hazmat armor, which lowers the damage and effects of irradiation and acid. These polymer plates can also be made into a remote detonator, which can activate marked explosives from elsewhere in the world. Along with uranium rods and a fissile core, it can also be crafted into a ray gun. This is a powerful ranged weapon that shoots a beam of radioactive energy, scarring the terrain and dealing damage 4 times faster than a regular weapon can. While each attack only does 1 damage, this will absolutely tear through anything it's aimed at. It inflicts the irradiated effect on its targets and consumes uranium rods as fuel. The charred remnants dropped by Braniacs can be used to craft nuclear sirens, which produce a loud sound when a nuclear explosion is about to occur. They can also be used to create a nuclear furnace component. A nuclear furnace can be assembled by placing 8 components in a cube. It can be used to smelt metals and other solid items 5 times as fast as a blast furnace and 10 times as fast as the regular furnace. 1 uranium rod can produce enough fuel to smelt an entire stack of items, however, it produces some unrefined waste as a byproduct. To avoid the reactor melting down, this waste must be removed by placing metal barrels in the nuclear furnace, producing waste drums. If you try to destroy these, they can explode and leave lingering radiation, so it's best to just store them somewhere. If the waste is allowed to build up in the furnace, it will go critical, igniting the surroundings before going supercritical, causing the whole machine to blow up in a nuclear explosion. You can also harness the radiation abundant in this biome to create a nuclear bomb of your own. After a solid fuse time, they'll detonate for a giant, fiery blast, absolutely detonating the area around it. Fun fact, you can also ride one on the way down to make quite the explosive entrance. Next, we'll take a trip to the bottom of the ocean and check out the Abyssal Chasm. Here, the trench walls are lined with abyss marine, and the floor is covered in a thick layer of muck, making walking slow. This nutrient-rich muck is also where you can find much sea life such as mussels, sea anemones, and ping-pong sponges. You can break it to sometimes obtain sea glass shards, used to create depth glass, which allows for better underwater visibility. Rising from the seafloor are great undersea mounds of tuff, containing numerous ores and covered by hydrothermal vents that spew black smoke into the water and home to nearby tube worm colonies. You may occasionally stumble upon whale falls, skeletons of long-dead beasts colonized by bone worms and other scavengers. Mussels can be found covering most surfaces in the chasm, and they grow fastest on logs. They can be cooked for food, and when broken have a chance to drop a pearl, which can be used at an abyssal altar. Littered throughout this dark trench are long abandoned research posts along with several more mysterious ruins, one of which can be home to a submarine in a state of disrepair. These can be repaired with copper ingots, and any oxidation can be removed with an axe. Once repaired, a submarine can be piloted and even has headlights that shine a spotlight in front of you, illuminating the seafloor. When piloting one, you will not run out of air, making this a great way to explore the chasm. You can also create one using some copper blocks, depth glass, and an enigmatic engine. However, this vehicle is not invincible. If it takes enough hits, it will shatter into copper ingots. You're also not completely safe in this vehicle, as the massive Hullbreaker will charge at you and deal massive damage with their huge jaws full of sharp teeth. This colossal 15-block long fish is a predator adapted to hunt exclusively in dark waters and will target any light-emitting entity. It quickly takes down its prey using its massive teeth to tear apart prey, or use its head as a battering ram to smash them. To avoid its wandering gaze, stop emitting light and remove any glowing effects. They always investigate possible prey items before attacking by circling them multiple times while flashing its many body lights. If defeated, it will spew out what it has eaten before dying. This could range from common items such as ink sacs to the remains of submarines like the enigmatic engine. Common prey for the Hullbreaker are the large shoals of glowing lanternfish deep under the surface. Once night approaches, they'll swim to the surface en masse, only to return back to the water during sunrise, making them a convenient clock in the dark depths of the sea. They can be bucketed and brewed into potions of deep sight, which reduces underwater fog and improves your vision under the water. Sea pigs are small gelatinous invertebrates found slowly trudging through the muck at the bottom of the Abyssal Chasm. If you feed them a clay ball, they'll digest it and spit out an item for you, including sometimes marine snow. This can be used on dead corals to bring them back to life, and can also grow sponges and other kinds of sea life. Floating throughout the abyss are these strange Gossamer Worms. These drifting, glowing polychaetes are a favorite snack of the Hullbreaker and can be bucketed. If slain, they can drop bioluminescence, the source of their glow. Bioluminescence can be brewed into a potion of glowing, or crafted into a floater, a device that rapidly jettisons the user up to the surface of the sea. It can also be converted into some bioluminescent torches, which even glow underwater. The Tripodfish is a bizarre fish found near the sea floor of the Abyssal Chasm. Although they're decent swimmers, they can often be spotted resting above the seafloor on 3 large spines emerging from their fins. Next, we'll cover some of the most mysterious and poorly understood beings in all of the overworld, the Deep Ones. There are 3 species of Deep One that all live in harmony, forming a single society. Initially, all Deep Ones will be wary of outsiders, following and stalking any intruders to their domain from the shadows. They'll attempt to flee if spotted, and if cornered, they can toss an ink bomb before disappearing from sight. If you attack one, all Deep One's opinion of you will sour permanently and will even eventually become hostile towards you. To improve your standing with them, you can place a pearl on an abyssal altar, initiating an exchange of goods which gradually improves their opinion of you. They can offer a variety of items at the altar, including sponges, sea glass shards, and even a gazing pearl, which shows you the current mood of the Deep Ones toward the player. They can also offer an ink bomb and glowing ink bomb, which when thrown will create a pool of ink that inflicts blindness or glowing respectively. Eventually, once you've traded enough, they will no longer flee and will even assist you in combat, using their fast claws and brutally sharp teeth. The Deep One Knight is an even stronger species of Deep One. They usually carry tridents or ortho lances, which they will use during melee combat. The items you can exchange with the knights are usually more combat oriented, such as their signature ortho lances, tridents, armor, prismarine, and even a magic conch, which can be blown to summon multiple Deep Ones to aid in combat. However, they'll only linger for a short while. The ortho lance is a melee weapon which can be held down to launch a powerful forward charge, leaving a trail of damaging waves in its wake. The final species of Deep One is the Mage. The heart of the sea buried in their heads grants them powerful water magic, with the ability to summon bolts of water to attack enemies with, summon a bubble of water to allow them to levitate in the air, and bring forth a barrage of waves to damage multiple attackers at once. Some of their attacks can even trap foes in a giant bubble of water, which can drown land-dwelling enemies. Items they exchange range from common ocean items to rarer magical ones such as Nautilus shells, bottles of enchanting, and even the Sea Staff itself. The Sea Staff is a weapon that rapidly fires magical bolts of water, which can arc towards nearby monsters. The final mob for this biome is the Mine Guardian. These artificial constructs will occasionally wake up and scan their environment. If they spot a player, they'll charge at them and create a massive explosion. Slaying them can improve your relations with the Deep One and drop a depth charge, which can be thrown to create a small explosion that even works underwater. Most of the fish that inhabit these trenches can be combined into a deep sea sushi roll. Any drown that spawn here can be found wearing parts of the diving suit armor, which can also appear in chests in the abyssal ruins. The diving helmet grants 40 seconds of water breathing if equipped above water, the chestplate has additional toughness, and the leggings grant extra swim speed. The boots grant faster walking on muck blocks. In the abyssal ruins, you may find drain blocks, also craftable with depth charges. If there is liquid above and empty air below them and the drain block is activated with redstone, the block will transport all above liquid to the below space, making this convenient for aquatic construction. The last cave added in the initial release is the dark and spooky Forlorn Hollows. These unnaturally dark caves are composed of guanostone and copperlith, and you may occasionally stumble upon peering copperlith, an unnerving reminder that in here you're always being watched. The stones can also bear redstone ore as well as coal. You may find thornwood trees in the floor and ceiling, as well as structures created by a mysterious civilization. The stinking piles of guano littering the floor can be crafted into fertilizer, a stronger version of bone meal that can also be used to create thornwood saplings from branches. The first mob in this biome is the Gloomoth. This giant passive insect is attracted to torches and light sources, which is problematic as these bugs have lots of nasty predators. They drop moth dust, which can be held down and thrown over a short distance. Any creature it hits will become scent marked and will be attacked by most of the mobs in the area. It can also be crafted into mothballs, which can keep Gloomoths away from light sources when placed. The Corrodent is a suspiciously large rodent, often found burrowing through the ground and walls. It will emerge to attack its prey with its sharp teeth and can be difficult to fight due to its ability to move through practically any block. However, they're deathly afraid of light-emitting blocks and will be terrified if a bright light is placed near them. During this time, they can easily be slain, dropping some coarse dirt and Corrodent teeth. These can be brewed into a haste potion, allowing for faster digging, or crafted into burrowing arrows, which can pierce target and mine up to 5 blocks when they land. Vespers are gigantic hostile bats that can be encountered in pursuit of Gloomoths, their favorite prey, or roosting on the ceiling of the hollows. Walking underneath one will cause it to wake up and enter a frenzied attack mode. These beasts are quick but have little health and can be grounded if you block their attacks with a shield. When slain, they can drop a Vesper wing and some guano. The wing can be made into Vesper stew, one of the few sources of food in the hollows that provides night vision when consumed. Next up is the Underzealot, a strange cult of intelligent mole people that break torches and are hostile but only at close distances due to their abysmal eyesight. They'll also tunnel underground during combat, making them difficult to fight. However, their true mechanic comes to light when they pick up a Gloomoth fluttering after a low-lying torch and sacrifice it as a vessel for their dark god. If they grab it with 3 or more Underzealots taking notice, a shadow of a dark, otherworldly power will briefly appear in this realm, warping the poor moth into a new monster, the Watcher. However, due to their poor eyesight, they may sometimes grab another flying creature native to the hollows, creating an extremely powerful beast even beyond the control of the Underzealots. If slain, they'll drop Dark Tatters and rarely a Desolate Dagger, a melee weapon that may seem weak based on its attack damage, but after every hit, a red, ghostly version of the dagger will spawn above its target, dealing an additional delayed attack. The Watcher, the result of an Underzealot sacrifices of a Gloomoth, is a hostile mob that will seek out any adventurer over a great distance and begin to stalk them. Over time, they will make their presence known by possessing their target and forcing the target to see the world from the Watcher's perspective, although this can be disabled in the config. During this time, the target is immobilized and the Watcher's face will appear briefly in their vision while it ends. If a Watcher is close enough, it will lash out with its sharp claws before transforming into an ethereal flying form. It will then continuously possess its target while lashing at it, providing for a difficult fight. When slain, they'll drop some Dark Tatters along with a rare occult gem, a valuable item with multiple uses. It can be turned into a totem of possession. Bind this to any entity by hitting it, then hold down right click on the totem and look in the direction you want it to move. The creature should be visible and the totem has limited durability, but any creature the possessed collides with will trigger it to attack. The occult gem can also be made into a beholder block. Binding another occult gem to this will allow one to see through the eye of it anywhere in the world, so long as it's in the same dimension. Finally, we have the Forsaken, the most powerful mob by far in the Hollows, and the first mini-boss added in the mob. This demon is created when Underzealots abduct a Vesper instead of a Gloomoth and are hostile towards practically anything not native to the Forlorn Hollows, although they'll eat as many Gloomoths as they can get their giant claws on. This huge dark beast has a massive amount of health, moves and jumps rapidly, and has a barrage of ranged AoE and melee attacks. They can use their large upper arms to smash the ground below them, slash at prey with their claws, or even lift their prey to their mouth for a crushing bite. They can also emit a very long-range Sonic Blast or a short-range Sonic Blast that damages all hostiles in close proximity. These Sonic Blasts deal extra damage towards sound-based monsters such as the Warden. If they are brought down low enough, their command over dark magic will become fully apparent, as they'll become pitch black except for their glowing red eyes. In this state, they'll heal rapidly as long as they're out of direct light. If you finally manage to take this horror down, you will be rewarded with Pure Darkness, an item that will be turned into Shadow Silk, a new item used to craft the Dreadbow. Dreadbows load arrows slower than normal bows, but when fired, a volley of arrows will fall above their target, If normal arrows are loaded, they'll be transformed into shadowy arrows that can deal multiple attacks. Arrows fired from this bow will appear in a far greater number, making for a very strong combination with seeking arrows that hone into their target. Shadow Silk can also be used to create the Hood and Cloak of Darkness. When both are equipped at the same time, a meter will appear showing the current darkness power, which can be increased by staying in dark areas. When this meter is full, the wearer can enter Shadow Mode, granting them extremely fast flight for 10 seconds as long as they remain within darkness, as well as a sick trail of darkness behind them. To increase the length of this effect, a darkened apple can be crafted and consumed while in Shadow Mode. And that's all the caves from this release version of the mod. More are constantly being added, so remember to subscribe to see updates as they come. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.